everybody, welcome to Ryker Rides. If this is your first time to the channel, thank you so much for checking me out, checking out the channel. And if you like what you see, please subscribe, please like, please share, do all that kind of good stuff that helps support me in that way, helps support the channel. Also, before I start, please know that there are 50 plus videos on the YouTube channel right now, and they're all different ways, different modifications to help you with the channel, with your Ryker, and how to modify it, things I've done. I do live chats, and I also do vlogs where I'm riding along and you see how the bike handles on the road. So I have tons of modifications on the bike, and they're all listed on my YouTube channel. And so there's 50 plus videos to choose from. So please scroll around, see what you like. And if you have any suggestions for future videos that you'd like to see me do, please comment below. Or if you have any questions, I'm very good at responding to comments and replying. So if you respond, I always respond back. So that being said, pushing all that paperwork stuff aside, administrative stuff, let's talk about new riders. So this video is specifically for someone who just bought their Ryker or is thinking about buying the Ryker and is looking for tips on riding, maybe on gear and things like that. So if you're an experienced rider, this probably isn't the best video for you, but I appreciate you checking me out anyway. Anyway, let's get to it. So these aren't going to be in any particular order of importance. So it's kind of whatever comes to my head is probably what I'm going to start talking about. So one of the first things is getting a bike that you feel comfortable with. So if you're looking at getting a Ryker versus a Spyder versus something else, so you want to know what your use is for the Ryker. For example, the Ryker is not really meant for long rides, for touring, for cross country. That's more of the Spyder if you're looking for a three-wheeler. The Ryker is more like zipping around town and kind of really manhandling the bike, so to speak, and really kind of being at one with the bike and really being low to the ground. It's a better fit for me. So that's the purpose of my Ryker. Now the Ryker, as you know, has 3 versions as of right now when this video is being made. So it has a 600, a 900, and a rally. My bike is the 900. So I have never owned a rally or the 600. Why I personally chose the 900, I knew I wasn't going to be going off-roading, and I knew I wasn't going to be doing a lot of gravel road. I don't have a gravel driveway. I don't have that kind of atmosphere for my riding. And that's why I didn't do the 900. I'm not looking to peel out and do tricks and stuff with it either. So the 900 is it has more of a all-terrain back wheel. And so it's not necessarily a dirt bike, the 900, but it does have a different back wheel, which allows for more of a rougher terrain. I didn't need that, so I didn't get the 900. The 900 does have its benefits because it comes with more accessories. So you have to do your cost analysis and see what works for you and what kind of riding you're going to be doing. So there are definite pluses to the rally one versus the 900. Now the 900 versus the 600, the 900 does have more power. It's 900 cc versus 600 cc's. So for me, I got the 900 even as a fairly inexperienced rider myself. My first thought was to get the 600. What do I need the 900 for? And someone told it best to me, and I've repeated it 100 times. I got the 900 because I wanted the little bit of extra power in case I needed it. And my saying that I've heard and that I repeat is, I'd rather have the power and not need it than need the power and not have it. So if I'm on, say, the highway or something, and I just want to know that I have the power to get up and go. By no means am I saying the 600 is a slow machine. I have ridden a 600 when I was doing my course for Can-Am, my 3-wheel endorsement class. And I thought the 600, it was really hard for me to even see the big difference between the 600 and 900. So the 600 is definitely cheaper, and it's a less expensive version of the 900. But as far as looks, the 600 and 900 are virtually identical, except for a little sticker that comes on your glove box that says 900. Everything else about it, looks-wise, is the same. The 900 does come with the other wheels to set it apart, a little more maybe sportier look. So anyway, that's why I have the 900. I just wanted the little extra power it had in case I needed it. And when I first bought my bike, I had no intentions of doing long trips with it. I had no intention of really riding on the highway with it. But once you get comfortable with it, you'd be surprised how much highway riding you do. You're with a group and they want to drive 2 hours to go to a cool restaurant. So I find, even though you don't think you're going to use it as much as you do, but you do. So that's my recommendation for the 900, but the 600 is great and the rally is great. So you can't go wrong with any of the bikes. I'm just telling you where I come from, why I chose my 900. That being said, when you get your bike, or before you get your bike, I highly, highly recommend taking the Can-Am 3-wheel endorsement class. I can't stress that enough. It's usually $99. I've seen people get discounts and get it for $50. It's a 2-day course and worth every penny. I can't stress this enough. I'm going to try to get a video of a class and put that on there at a future date if they allow me to. But what's beautiful about the class, what's great about it, is that you're using someone else's Ryker. So feel free to slam on the brakes, see how that feels. Feel free to take a turn real jerky. You know, it's not your bike, so you're not going to ruin it. You don't have to be gentle with it. Get a feel for the brakes, get a feel for the turning, get a feel for everything. It just lets you know whether or not this is a bike for you, being that it's a trike, and gets you some experience riding it before you're actually riding your own bike. So now let's move forward, and you've got your bike, you're all excited, it's home, now what? So the Ryker does have I believe it's 500 miles braking in period. It's either 200 or 500. I'll put the correction or the correct in the response here. But it does have a braking in period. So what does that mean? You're supposed to maintain slow speeds. You're not really supposed to go on the highway. You're not supposed to really ride it aggressive during this braking in period. You want to kind of ease the bike into everything. Keep in mind, the bike was just put together, a couple miles on it, and everything is new. There's still plastic on it. A lot of people talk about a burning smell when they first get their bike. Totally normal. That is some plastic maybe that wasn't removed properly, or some things rubbing, the bike just kind of growing, if you will. And so a lot of times that burnt smell you'll get so it worries people, and they're like, hey, my God, what's wrong with my bike? It is normal to have that. So don't be alarmed if that happens. Also, there is another common question you get when you're a new rider, and I ask this question too. You hear, especially when you're reversing and you're new to riding the bike and you kind of are a little more aggressive and you're a little quicker on the throttle, you will hear a clunking noise that sounds like your bike is just braking. Also totally normal. That's the CVT, the variable transmission, and that is what's making that noise. It's like the engine pieces kind of coming together. I don't know the specifics of it, but it's normal. So to avoid that, you just want to ease your throttle a little more, and you'll kind of get the hang of not making that noise if you ease into it, but the noise is totally okay as well. So those are some common questions that I get when there's a brand new rider. Also, a very common problem that new riders face and new riders are dealing with is when they're riding their bike, they're a little bit nervous, so their foot is kind of on the brake because they want to be able to brake at any time. So they're on the throttle and they're on the brake at the same time, even if it's just a little bit. Your bike will, obviously you're not supposed to be riding the brake and accelerating at the same time. Your bike goes into what's called limp mode, or VSS reading on your display, and your bike will literally shut down. So And a lot of people, they'll get their bikes towed, or usually just let it shut down and you let it calm down, cool down, and you can usually start it back up again. But to avoid that, do not ride your brake. I can't stress that enough. It's a very common thing with new riders because of their nervousness with it. So just don't ride your brake. The best way to brake is to ease off the throttle. So when you're riding, just kind of gently ease off and kind of roll to a brake. The bike quickly decelerates when you take your hand off the throttle. That's not true of all bikes, but this bike is very throttle dependent. So if you're throttling, the bike is going. As soon as you let go of the throttle or twist forward, your bike almost instantly comes to a stop. I'm not saying don't use your brakes. Don't use your brake, I should say. It's one pedal of brake, which brakes all three wheels at the same time. So I'm not telling you not to brake, but just kind of be aware that your hand is, when I first started riding and I was doing that, I always made sure my hand was off the throttle totally when I was braking, just to make sure I never got that limp mode, but a lot of people do. So next, when you're on your bike, make sure you put your bike in the position that works for you, for your body type, for your comfort level, for your riding position. Get yourself in the right position. So as you know, the handlebars move backwards and forwards. So get yourself, do you want to ride in a more aggressive sport bike mode, or do you want to do more of a cruising sitting up mode? And then also, these pegs move down here, as well as your brake pedal also moves up and down. So it took me a while, it took me a few weeks to kind of get my perfect riding position where I felt like I could go a long time in this and it just felt great. There's tons of accessories and tons of things you can get for your bike. My favorite is this Can-Am 1-Up backrest. I just needed something to support me a little bit, so I wasn't getting off having all kinds of issues with my back. So this was my favorite accessory. Again, these are all in my videos, so please look around. Know your limits. So if you're not comfortable going on the highway, don't go on the highway. Don't let people talk you into something that you don't want to do. If you're not comfortable going over 20 miles an hour, stay on little side streets around your neighborhood until you get comfortable. Just ride it until you feel at one with your bike. I know that sounds cheesy, but it should really be an extension of you when you're riding. So as far as safety, as far as everything, you want to know every turn, every feel of the bike. You want to be comfortable with it before you take it out for any kind of long ride or independent riding. As far as highway riding, I used to be afraid to go on the highway. Like going so fast, it was just very scary to me. And when I started going on the highway, how I eased into highway riding was I would do it very, very early on a Saturday morning, a Sunday morning. I'm talking like 6 a.m. As soon as the sun comes up, get out there and ride on the highway when no one else is on the highway, maybe one or two cars. And that way you're just concentrating on the handling of the bike at a high speed without worrying about cars and people passing you. Just get comfortable with that. And if you're not able to do that, another good way to do it is to, or after you've advanced from that, go on the highway when it's a little busier, but just go on one exit and get off. And then next time go on 2 exits and get off. And then get yourself just comfortable with it. Again, when you're ready, just know your limits, that's all. And as far, okay, so another good riding tip. Now you want to try to avoid, like a bike, a car, or anything else, you want to try to avoid potholes or even like sewer covers. You want to try to avoid that kind of stuff so you don't feel it in your back and your neck. So with this bike, it's a little bit more awkward because of the 3 wheels. So you can't just kind of swerve to avoid it, because if you swerve to avoid it, you're going to end up catching it a lot of times with your back wheel. So the ideal situation is if there's a hole in the road, you move your whole bike over and avoid it. That's the ideal situation. But a lot of times you can't because there's another car next to you or for whatever reason. So a good tip I learned from another gentleman, I forgot his name, I apologize, but he had a good tip that you line your knee up with the object you're trying to avoid. So you line your left knee up with the hole or whatever you're trying to avoid. So that way it's missing the front tire, it's missing your bike, and it's going to go right in between, and you're going to miss your back tire too. So just kind of line it up with your knee, and you should be able to get it where it's between all your wheels. So that was a good tip. All right, let's talk about gear. Let me go show you what I have. This is my motorcycle jacket. It's pretty old, so I've had it for a while. It's by Rocket. And the reasons I like this particular jacket, again, it's all personal preference, but this has elbow pads, shoulder pads, and also a back pad. When I say pad, I mean like protector, or it's a hard, very hard plastic, so if I took a dump, hopefully not, it would protect me. So what I like about it is it's very adjustable, and it has a mesh liner, so it's supposed to let air in, but it's still a very, very warm jacket. I'm always looking for a better summer jacket. Even though this is mesh, it's still quite heavy. But what's also nice is all this protective gear, it comes out so you can wash the jacket. And because my jacket was old, the protective gear in here disintegrated, so I just bought new protective gear, put it in the jacket, and I matched my wrap. Anything blue you see on my bike, because I get this question a lot, anything blue you see on my bike is a wrap. So it's not panels, everything's done for a wrap. Next, these are the gloves I use. I have 2 pairs of gloves that I use. Only one at a time though. And so they're by a company called Nice Win. These are very thin. These are not really necessarily made for motorcycle gloves. I don't really recommend them for safety. I recommend them if you're a Florida rider and you're trying to keep the sun off your hands so you don't get sunspots everywhere. And it has a little tiny protection. It's better than nothing. And in Florida, for Florida riding, you're looking for something better than wearing nothing at all, because it's so hot here. So this is another glove that I wear, also by the same company called Nice Win. And this it's slightly more protection, but they're both very lightweight gloves because of the summertime here. And I have 2 helmets that I wear. This one, which is my absolute favorite, be kind. This is my favorite. It's carbon fiber, it's extremely lightweight, and I switched out the visor so it has a nice sun visor, and it is by Sedici, S-E-D-I-C-I. It's just super, super lightweight, and I love this helmet. But it is a 3/4 helmet, so there is a little bit of exposure down here, which a lot of people don't want. And then for my vlogging helmet or any highway riding I do, I wear this Bell, and it's a full face helmet. This actually came with a bike that I had, so I didn't want to buy a new one. But this is my whole setup that I wear for recording. And it has my little logo on there. So that's my equipment. So I also use one of these things. I don't know what they're called, different names. Gators, there's a few different names for this, but this one is called a chill pad. So when I'm riding in Florida, I soak this literally in ice water. I take water, throw ice cubes in, I soak it, so it's ice cold, squeeze it out, and then I put it on me like a turtleneck, and it just keeps my neck and everything, those kind of warm spots, keeps me cool. Lastly, for gear, a lot of people a lot of people wear, especially until you get used to it, the vibration sometimes of the wind is a little bit much for people, even with a helmet on. So if I know I'm going on a long ride, long highway ride, I'll throw in earplugs just to kind of keep the vibration noise out of my ears. And also, I'm always wearing a jacket, especially if I'm going on the highway or any kind of speeds. Then I always wear long pants. So I usually wear jeans because they're a little tougher than cotton pants. And they do make Kevlar jeans. So especially when you're a new rider, I think everyone should be wearing protective gear. Let me start by saying that. But when you're a brand new rider, I think it's more important than ever because you're awkward. It's like being a new driver when you're 16 and you have a new driver's license. You're more likely to make a mistake during that time period of learning. So especially when you're in that learning process, you really want to make sure your gear is good and you're comfortable with it, and you feel you'll be better at riding, in my opinion, if you are protected from head to toe. You're more likely to feel confident on your bike instead of worried about every second about getting in an accident, because you know you're protected, so you have that confidence. So that's why I dress like that. So I dress for the mess, or what's the expression? I don't know, ride for the slide or something like that. So when I'm going out, I assume every single time I go out that this is the time I could potentially get in an accident, and I want to be protected. So if you're only going to wear one piece of protective gear, helmet. And when you're buying a helmet, this is something I had to learn a little bit of the hard way, but when you're buying a helmet, you literally want it to be tighter than you think that you need, because of sweat, moisture, condensation, everything involved, the pads in the helmet will shrink about a half a size. So if you're normally between a small and a medium size helmet, get the small, because it'll stretch out to a medium after you've worn it for a little while. So either that, helmet's not going to be very good, and you'll get a lot of wind noise if it's a little too small for you. If it's too big for you, you'll get all those other problems with it, and the wind noise and feeling it moving. So you want your helmet to be a little tighter than normal. Your cheeks are supposed to be squishing it when you're riding. So the number one thing for me in a helmet is peripheral vision. So the helmet that I bought, the Siddiqui, I always call it Siddiqui, but it's Tadisi, I don't know. That helmet that I said is my favorite, the 3/4 one, my favorite feature about that is I get no blockage for my peripheral vision. So when I'm wearing my helmet, I can just look and I don't see any helmet on my sides. So if someone was advising me if I'm advising somebody on what helmet to get, go to a store that has 100 helmets and try on 100 helmets. Find out what works for you, what feels good for you. There's weight, there's size, there's looks, there's so many different variables. There's price. I mean, you can buy a helmet for $50, you can buy a helmet for $5,000. I mean, it is, I'm sure. There's like crazy price differences. And some of them come with room for speakers, for ear speakers, for your music. So you gotta kind of think ahead a little bit about what you want from your helmet. But to me, the most important part is being able, when the visor's closed, to be able to see, when you turn your eyes, are you looking at the helmet or are you looking out of the road? So that's the most important thing for me personally. Also, people wear riding boots that cover their ankles. So if you happen to, this is more for two wheels in my opinion, but if you happen to kind of, the bike leans and you lose your footing, it's holding your ankle so you don't snap your ankle. So do I ever ride without a jacket on? In the summertime here, yes, but never without a helmet. I try to always ride with a jacket on, and I try to always ride with gloves on. And I do my best. Unless I'm going 20 miles an hour, I'm in full gear, 9 times out of 10. So another question I get is, what is the bike like to ride in the rain? Do I have any suggestions on that? The bike does great in the rain. Last time I got caught in a torrential downpour, you couldn't even see. I had to pull over like underneath the highway, one of those people, underneath the overpass. And I'm watching people on two wheels riding their Harleys, riding their whatever out there, and they're riding in the rain. I'm thinking, I've got three wheels. I should be able to ride in the rain. It does great in the rain. And I'm not worried about slipping or turning because I've got the three wheels. I've got that stability. So it works out great. What else? Another good riding tip. When you're a new rider especially, it's good to hug your knees against the bike, like that. So when you're riding, you feel like you are in much more control of the bike when you're hugging the bike with your knees, with your thighs and your knees. You're straddling the bike and you feel like you're really in charge of the bike. So you're not kind of riding relaxed as a new rider. It's good to hug it and you feel better around the turns that you're into it. Also when you're turning, so if I'm turning left, I tilt my body. I do tilt. So I pull with this hand, then I push with this hand. And then when I'm going right, I turn right and I push and pull at the same time. So keep in mind there's no power steering on the Rykers. So, which is not a big deal because as soon as you accelerate, the power is it's very easy to turn. But it does take a little effort to kind of get used to that. Okay, other accessories that I love for a new rider or an advanced rider, my favorite accessory are these strip lights for the fender. I'm going to make sure you can see them. So these lights right here are my favorites. They're just so great and so visible. So when you're behind the bike, especially at nighttime, you can really see how bright those are. I am all about safety and visibility. So I do have a link to that below. And so pretty much anything you see on my bike, I have a link for, including the Airhawk seat cushion, including the new Sling Mods bigger mirrors. They're not bigger, they're convex, so you can see more. Also the Ride Scan, extra mirror there. And the windshield install is on there as well. I also put on an install video for the backrest and an install video for this piece right here. And I have many more videos to come. Also, another great feature is this that I did. This was so awesome. And so this is, for me being only 5'3", this accessory was awesome. So this is your normal reverse lever here, but I couldn't reach it with my foot. It was just too small. So I had to always get off and use my hand. So I added this extension to my reverse lever, and it was not a hard project. So that way, I can just use this to push it back and forth. So, which makes it so easy. And don't forget, you have neutral in between. So this is forward, this is reverse, and then this is, in between is neutral. So you can roll your bike, which is nice. And then I also added the Sling Mods brake lock key, the brake lock. So that way if you park it someplace and you're not quite comfortable with everything, no one can just kind of put it in neutral and roll it away. It locks it, so you can't put anything in neutral. And I have the foam pads I added, and I also added some stuff to my glove box. I did the glove box insulation kit from Sling Mods. And I added this little 3-pocket case for there. I've done a lot of cool little things as well. Another great add-on for my bike is this right here, which is a throttle assist. And throttle assist or cramp buster, there's also a link and a video for that as well. And that just allows you to rest your hand here. So you're not death gripping the throttle, you're using just this. This is a cruise lock. I do not recommend it. So pretend that's not there. And I also have, lastly, a really cool cup holder for the side of the bike. And I actually have a whole video on that as well. So for new riders out there, if you have any questions about the bike or about riding technique, please put your comments below, because I've got quite a few people that follow this channel, and they would all love to kind of be able to help answer any questions that you might have. Or hopefully I can help you as well. So just stay safe, ride safe. Just know your limits and, ride safe, take care of each other, be kind to one another. And if you see another biker on the road, give them the two fingers down, meaning 2 wheels down. If you see another Ryker out there, 3 wheels down. And it's a great community, and welcome to the channel. Welcome to owning a Ryker, and I wish you all the best of luck. Keep me in mind if you need anything. If you need anything, just let me know, and I'm here. Bye.